guys hearing the game sounds? How loud is it compared to me? Are you able to hear what I'm saying, or is this good? Hey, Emperor. I'm going to turn down the game sounds just a little bit based on the green bars, but I also want the game to be pretty prominent because the voice acting is so good. Fairly loud or too loud? I mean, it can't be worse than the original because that's the starting point, right? Let me check some settings real quick. What? No ray tracing? Oh my god. Worthless game. Bump it down 5 to 10%. Okay. And now? Is it super annoying or okay? Can you hear me when I am speaking, or is it overriding everything I do? Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. This seems good. All right, we'll go with this. I don't want to put it too soft because you know, I've never really listened to this. Even if, okay.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
And Stanley was happy.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Yeah, without the voice acting, this isn't much of a game. But it's the trope of the narrator controlling a person. There's been a few movies that have played on this theme.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
It's true. The narrator's an eldritch god controlling us all. Yes. Sails in this equator. This does not make sense. No.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Fuck you.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
So, I don't know. I mean, obviously people understand on some level that the game is about player agency and what it means for the player to be able to make their own choices in a game. And the way that they approach it is through comedy.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
One of the theories is that you actually never leave your desk, because no matter what button you push, it sounds like typing on a keyboard.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
So worth it. In fact...
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
A short history of the relations between Poland and Austria-Hungary.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
This is the game. The game is you trying to see what they accounted for. And that's where the perception of player agency comes from in video games. And it's the whole point of the Stanley Parable is to sort of riff on the idea of player agency and what it means to be able to make your own choices in a game. Because making a choice without the game acknowledging it doesn't feel like a choice at all. It feels like a missed opportunity. And what the Stanley Parable basically is, it's an attempt to make all of those choices matter. No matter how seemingly inane. And given that the whole game takes place in an office space and you're literally, there's nothing here. There's nothing to do but do what the narrator says.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
I suspect that there might have been one more line, but it might have taken minutes or even hours to get it. Because there are literally things that take hours to do.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
There's also a few minor actions the player can take. Like, there's no jump button, but there is like a crouch that sometimes slides you up on top of things, and they actually account for that too. Do not jump from the cargo lift while it's in motion, will cause death.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Have fun at work,
Good
Brian.
job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
So yeah, it's not a sequel. There's a bunch of additional content, and since the
All
whole
of
game,
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now
See?
that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
no. Wait, how do I?
Ah, then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other options so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Cheers. So yeah, that was basically an explanation of what the game is. That's why I came in here. It's basically an exploration of player agency through narrative. So if they acknowledge what you're doing, then you feel good about it, generally speaking. But this game is so sarcastic and mindful of that player agency that sometimes you wonder, like, is it worth it? And there is indeed, well, let's see, maybe we'll get there. And the thing is, it does a very good job of not telling you. Not telling you when there's more or not. I think this iteration of it is slightly different, because I remember coming in here several times. Oh, I can't select yes. No. Okay, now I'm sick of it. But there's nothing you can do. So what do? Start over? No. That would be giving up. Yeah. It's kind of old-timey British humor without the bawdiness. This white room is filling me with existential dread. me out. Achievement unlocked. You can't jump. All right. It's mirroring my own time.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Actually, let's follow the narrator this time, because maybe some of you haven't seen that.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Get Chris out of the broom closet. There's definitely a lot more text. Yikes. I'll read this later.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
There's some additional rooms here.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Subs if I want them. Yeah, sub to my channel. What do you mean? Of course I want subs.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Right, we're following the narrator.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Do you guys want subtitles? Where did they put subtitles? There. Employee observation protocol. If, despite adherence to Protocol 2A and Protocol 2B, an employee leaves the office during work hours and a system loop has failed, you must terminate. Please note that Employee 432 is a test case, while the need for Procedure 2A to 2C need not apply. In the event of 432 attempting to leave the office, contact supervisor and then contact 432 prize pool. If a monitoring screen fails to initialize contact maintenance to temporarily switch control over to desk screen. In the case of a Class 4 event, close system gates and consult with supervisor. In the case of a Class 3 event, close system gates and consult with supervisor. Prime your consoles for info dump. Yeah.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how
Don't worry,
many
we'll be
puzzles
back.
still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
So you see the irony.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
So the irony of that ending is that you do everything he says, and then you win. And he talks about how you freed yourself from the control. When obviously you did no such thing. You just did exactly what he told you to do.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Dare I go out here again?
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain. There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly.
This is
But the
100% new.
truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly.
Oh dear.
What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. You too will become quite unbearable.
Oh my god. That's brilliant. Dare I wait for another chorus? Stanley was bitten by a retroactive spider that gave him the power of hindsight. Ah, nice. Nice. It makes you wonder. This song definitely wasn't in the first game. But it makes me wonder what else is new. Oh. I still have control. This is pretty great. Yeah, if you've never played Stanley Parable, even watching me play for like an hour wouldn't get you through even half of what's in the game. Which is ironic because it's literally an office connecting multiple hallways. Ooh, that got awkward. What? What? Is there more? Or is the point to force me to get to quit? Because I don't want to do the... If it takes like 15 minutes, like, I don't want to do those. You guys can discover those on your own.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh, this is Ultra Deluxe. Are you saying there's a Deluxe version that's different? How to use help. Awaiting input. Wait. What? Wait a minute. There's some secrets too, and probably a bunch of new ones.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Okay, great.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Looks like I might be able to... Yep. No? Maybe. Maybe? Ah! No. I feel like I could get up there.
All right. right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees?
Skill
Work
trees.
with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
I love it. Perfect.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you?
No, not at all.
Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Yeah, this is exactly what it is like to work at Blizzard. It's torture. This is torture. Four hours. I have to do this for 4 hours. Is it better if I wait till the last second? Or do you prefer this? Which one's better? We can all take turns pushing the button. This is not unsimilar from my current life, as I do have a 9-month-old child. I have an auto clicker. Cutting it close. You know, 4 hours is a long time. I'm half tempted to give up. But does 4 hours really mean 4 hours? Almost. I'm seeing how close I can get before it. It's 4 hours in reality. Or at least it was in the previous version. I don't know. I don't know if it really is in this one. But it is in the original. It's 4 hours. Someone's done it. It actually gets harder. They add buttons. Ooh. I'm playing with fire. Oh, they give you a lot of leeway at the end there. I don't know why it's so funny that I'm letting him get in the fire. There's like a goo at the end that's... I don't know why that's funny. Well, it's an indie game. There's only one... just the original creator. I don't know if he actually sat there and played it for 4 hours, just assumed that someone else would do it at some point. It's not the Geneva Convention, but it's... You're right. Oh. Oops. Ah! Shit. No! See what kind of angles I can get. You gotta be on the 180 degree angle here. Well, it's using the valve placeholder textures for the walls and stuff. Alright, I'm gonna let this baby go. I can't I can't do it anymore. Alright, alright. Burn! Burn!
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes.
The baby will
This
haunt your
seems
dreams.
like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
What the fuck?
Ah, fascinating.
What?
What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our
Firefall.
backstory?
Or
what
what
is
is
our
it?
motivation? Well, it
Firewatch.
seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience
Oh my God.
of total mental depravity.
Oh my god.
I love everything about this game, Stanley, and it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Are they picking from my library, or is this like in their game? Because I do own this game. I... Oh my god. This is brilliant.
No, it can't be.
It can't be what?
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. I only wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley.
Oh
Okay,
god.
I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
Wonderful.
Oh, Rocket
See,
League.
this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
How do we get lost?
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Woo! Oh, they made you faster. Sports ball! I did it!
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Hold on. What are you doing? Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Whoa, oh! Shit. Okay. What the fuck? This is all new. I have no idea. A light. Ooh. You can't tell. Ah. Ah. Looks like audio stuff. No. Looking for a wall hack or something. Usually around these chairs. Nope. Dead end, unfortunately. Alright. Oop.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close...
LSD Dream Simulator. Oh my god.
The end will be here soon.
I think I played some...
Very soon.
Simulation.
I can wait.
Okay. We're back.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Aha! That's 2. New content?
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Sorry. I love this game, in case it wasn't obvious. Oh shit.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
Yeah.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
More game.
Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if, Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Jump.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Yeah. Oh. Only in the circle. One more. Give me one more. Let me jump. Fine.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive.
Not
it's
positive
just
at all.
elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always.
Oh, yes.
What do you say, friend?
Oh. Huh. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good. That's what it should look like. That's just...
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Okay. If you crawl up the picnic table and hobble off, will it consider it a jump and go negative, or is table too far? No, you just fall down.
You remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Oh my god. What is this? Is this Elden Ring? What the fuck is this?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Just trying. Gotta try. Wait, what's this?
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
The British Academy of Film and Television Arts. Bruce Straley for The Last of Us in the category of story. Oh my god. The Memory Zone Temp. The original remake. Good times. Smile because it happened. Official soundtrack. Presumably the first dollar from the first purchase. It is impossible to get this achievement. Go outside, don't play for 5 years. British Academy Award. Was it actually? No, these are fake, right? Creator surprisingly down to earth. Something's missing. In loving memory, little Stanley. Was he a hamster? I want to sit on the bench.
Je suis dans la mémorisation.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
That good dark. It's Portal. Maybe Portal's one of the new games you can try. Minecraft. The tasteful nostalgic. It was good. Person of the year. Oh, it's me. Wait a minute. Is that Valve's tool? Or is that their design tool? Or is this... I don't recognize it. Do I need 5 years of playtime? Oh. I could just leave it running in the background.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games, and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Analog for Charlie Kaufman and Spike Jonze's brilliant film adaptation. I thought this was interesting. People play games because of what they can do inside them, and your game is very good at letting them know they can't do anything. Literally anything. You can't do anything that the game designer didn't allow you to do. Snake oil salesman something. Wait. The serious room? Do you have to do the trick to get in there? Or can I not get in here until I've done something else, maybe? I wouldn't be surprised if parts of this unlock later after discovering things. Though because of all this weird furniture around there, I'm thinking there might be a way. Or not. Feels too smooth. There'd be a jaggy somewhere. Little hiccup here. Nope. Oh well.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years.
Oh God.
I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Oh, really? Yeah. Darn. I thought it might lift me up and I could sneak over the fence. Maybe it doesn't matter then. Nope. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness.
You're a little
This is
preachy.
actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it, well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Nostalgia. Eh? No. No. Wait. Maybe. I feel like there might be something there, but it's hard to tell. Ah. Uh-oh.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Oh, God.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're...
Is it hard to get into the video game development industry? Yes and no.
Back. Oh my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel... Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. all of them, collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment.
So
and
true.
I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible. The spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid as I do. That perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well.
Wow.
Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival.
This got
If
dark.
I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace in the darkness.
Are you done? Are you done? Is it hard to get into the video game industry? So, to get into the video game industry, you need a path to getting into the game industry. Now, that can mean a number of things. It can mean knowing someone in the game industry who can get you in. It can mean taking classes that would allow you to apply for certain jobs. It can mean starting in QA like I did, but that was more a matter of luck in terms of where I lived. But the best place to start is gamedevmap.com. Is it .com? I think it is. And to look at game studios around you, and then see if they have openings, and then apply for those jobs that you think you qualify for. So that's where I would start. Oh, I guess I finished a speech. It's like a battery failing. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's a fire alarm.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then the end is never the end, 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 is
There's
never
water
the
coming in.
end, is never the 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 end.
leak is getting worse. If I press it enough times, I think I'll drown. Now we're on a mission to kill ourselves. Oh boy. Whoa! Whoa! Talos Principle Easter egg? I played it, but I don't remember that. Oops. Oh, I have a meeting. No one joined that, by the way. What is that? Has a nuclear symbol on it. Leaked? I hope not. Oh shit. We went from nature to the apocalypse pretty quick there. If this doesn't end with me floating in space, I'll be disappointed. Okay, that's creepy. Yeah. Let's get out of here. Oh shit. Oh. Ah! I'm free! I did it, I escaped. I escaped. Oh. Son of a bitch. Alright.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
New content.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Okay. 1 billion years.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So
True.
Forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2. This, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Taste the sequel. Oh dear.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
More TSP, better TSP. Sequential mindshare. The color red. Leverage holistic value. New content is out. New content is in. Old and busted, new hotness. Color section of chart red. This is a lot.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
This is not inaccurate from a day in the life of a designer. Scrum, design, pitch, break, pitch, design, number 2 chat. What is this? It's a crow. Crow book. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Sequels are good. Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Batman Arkham Asylum 2, Divinity Original Sin 2, Doom 2, Aladdin 2. Wait. Dark Souls 2. I mean, he has a point. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. This way to the show floor. Ooh. New features. New content. Wait, are they gonna show it here? No, no, that's not a movie screen.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Merch. Reassurance bucket. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game? Oh wait, no, I gotta hear this. Name, hear yours today. Hear your name in the game. Oh, this is gonna be great.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself
Designer
to
Jim.
become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim. playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim,
What?
rediscovering yourself through fringe religious groups as Jim,
Oh,
and
God.
finally dying a slow death at an old age, surrounded by members of your cult as Jim.
Okay.
Do you feel it in your soul? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Yeah, fuck that. I'm out. Bye. Oh, God damn it. Fine. Oof. All right, I'm Jim. I'm Jim. I'm Jim.
Jim.
Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Jim.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
No, you can't step into it. Good attempt.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
Right. All right. I'm going to stop here. I have a meeting. Sorry. I'll try